So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the populations that are particularly susceptible to developing schizophrenia or being diagnosed with schizophrenia. One population that is particularly susceptible will be the perinatal and fetal populations. Any child who has issues or exposures in the womb or has a difficulty during the birthing process might actually be more at risk of developing schizophrenia. So, in research conducted by Siegman and his colleagues, there is evidence that suggested that these environmental factors, the perinatal and fetal development, any type of exposure such as infections, nutritional deficiencies, the age of the father, actually the age of the mother, the stress of the mother. She's super stressed. The child may be more at risk of developing schizophrenia later on in life, or other types of exposures. On the bottom right of this slide, I showed this chart about a child who may develop schizophrenia because they were exposed to rubella early on, actually as early as in utero. As you can see, in utero, there was this exposure to rubella, and then in that child, later on, as a child developed, during their childhood, they had a diminished IQ, and then they had minor neuromotor and behavioral dysfunctions. Nothing major, but as the child hits puberty, you're starting to see the IQ decline, and then continued motor and behavioral dysfunctions. And then as you know, into early adulthood and adulthood, this child might actually start developing these symptoms and signs of schizophrenia, and then be diagnosed with this disorder. And this is solely because the child was exposed to rubella in utero. Another population that is particularly susceptible will be the population of drug users. There's just been loads of evidence suggesting that the use of drugs, because they typically, a lot of the drugs that we're talking about here cause hallucinations, cause delusions anyways. They cause these psychotic symptoms that they may actually, later on make the person develop schizophrenia, especially if they have the genes that might express schizophrenia later on in life. So there's this video in the middle left of this slide that's actually suggesting that marijuana can be a cause. There's a link between marijuana use and schizophrenia. So it's an interesting video, so watch that video. And then there are just two more populations I want to hint on real fast that might be more susceptible. And one population is going to be the genetic component of this. If a parent has schizophrenia, the likelihood of the child developing schizophrenia is higher in comparison to just someone developing schizophrenia and it doesn't run in their family. So there's definitely a family component to this disease. There's genetic, just research done, like the genes of the family are a cause, or at least a link. And then the final population I want to hit on is the lower SES, the lower income populations actually are going to be at greater risk too. They might not be receiving the necessary nutrients that they need. They might not be receiving the medications that they need to control the psychotic symptoms of schizophrenia. So those are the populations particularly susceptible to schizophrenia. And you can, like I said, watch the video, and it's really interesting stuff. Thanks.